welcome back to Yapp Sesh. I'm Savannah.
And I'm Skylar.
And today we're going to be addressing the question, can words have a larger effect on emotions than actions?
Yes. So to start off, I'm going to talk about actions having a larger effect on emotions than words. So I just want to bring up the point that every generation has kind of been taught sayings that put a perception of this question onto us. So one of these sayings being that actions speak louder than words, and parents kind of teach this to their kid in situations where the kid is saying, oh, I'm so good at this thing, or I'm really fast and I can beat you, and parents are like, well, you can't just talk big game and not do it, so you must show with your actions. Another phrase that has very similar meaning to this is that sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can never hurt me. And this is more when kids are like upset about someone saying mean things to them, and parents are like, well, it's okay because people can say mean things all they want, but it like won't hurt you. You're not in physical pain. So yeah, and then I also read an article by Kim Cowart that talks about how parents' actions influence their kids more than words do, is kind of what their argument was. And she is a marathon runner, and she has 2 daughters, and she says that like showing resilience and perseverance, hard work, self-care, good work ethic, by doing marathons shows her kids that they can do this too. And she talked about how her kids, when they see her running every day and they like see her training and working really hard towards her goal, they also want to be like mom. They want to go on runs. They want to take care of themselves. They want to do hard things. And she just talks about how parents often lead by example even when they're not trying to. So another thing she talked about is when a parent is a smoker, but they tell their kids like, oh, you should not smoke. That's terrible for you. I don't want you to be like me. But then the kid can kind of justify, well, you smoke and you're fine for now, and I'm going to do it anyway because you're telling me not to, but you do it, so what's the big issue? And I think she kind of talked about that scenario just to show that often parents can contradict their actions with words, but most of the times kids will like kind of value the actions more than they'll value the words that their parents say.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Yeah, I had looked into words having a bigger effect on emotions, and in this class I took in college, we learned about linguistic relativity, which is basically like the words you use give your life meaning. So like if there were to be a word for like lots of words for love, that means like your language values love more. This isn't agreed upon by everyone, but it's a really big concept. And this is from the Bond Institute, and I thought it was really interesting. There was this quote about Shakespeare's Macbeth and how it's actually scientifically supported. His phrase, give sorrow words, the grief does not speak, whispers, oh, fraught heart, and it bids, it breaks. This basically means if you don't put your sorrow into words, the silence is going to break your suffering. And this is actually supported a lot in like therapy, where you're supposed to like give your words or give your emotions feelings, like name them, like I'm feeling this and I'm feeling that. And this helps you process them. And then another thing is like if you're saying certain words, it kind of helps you internalize them.
Yeah.
Like I thought it was really interesting, like saying my husband helps me at home versus like my husband does this, whereas like help is kind of saying like it's my job and he's just helping me with it, which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah.
And then another point I saw that kind of will bring us into our next one about gender is how in German, bridge is a feminine word, and in Spanish it's masculine. And there was an experiment done about like qualifying the word, and German speaking people qualify the words as elegant, fragile, and pretty, whereas Spanish speakers use big, strong, and sturdy. And this is interesting because it's kind of showing like the impact gender has on words and how that can affect how you feel about them.
Yeah. Okay. I also read a study done talking about that words speak louder than actions, pretty much. And it was by Shirley Coleman, a leading researcher in the field of negotiations at the University of Michigan's Ross School of Business. And this was like a case study done, kind of not experimenting on people, but like people took surveys and such. And this found that our emotions and the emotions we generate in others have power, and that often these emotions are generated by words and like how we talk to people, and also that the way we the words we say and how they like put off like affect other people and how they affect ourselves, like the words we say to ourselves can impact your emotion throughout the day, can make you in a good mood, a bad mood, just based off what other people say to you and then what you say to yourself as well.
Yeah, and then I was looking into how words affect men and women, and there was this article about how it affects them in the workplace, and using words, or women try to like come across as qualified and smart, while men get to like strive to be confident and kind.
Yeah.
And this kind of like keeps women in like underpaying jobs and not able to like progress in the workplace.
Yeah. Okay, so we decided that it would be fun to interview a few people that we, a couple people that we have known for a long time. So we did one man and one woman to kind of see if there was any differences in what they had to say. The questions we asked them were, tell me about a time when someone's actions affected you. How did it make you feel? Is it something that still affects you? Tell me about a time when someone's words affected you. How did it make you feel? Is it something that still affects you? And then out of the two examples, which one had the longest or greatest effect on you? And then whether or not they think actions or words have a bigger effect on emotions. So to start off, I interviewed a woman, and for the example of a time someone's actions affected her, she talked about how in high school her mother and her had a very rough patch in their relationship, and they had a bunch of events that led up to her mom kicking her out near the holidays, and she had to go live with her uncle who was away on work most of the time. So she had to end up spending like all Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's alone. And she said that that really had a negative effect on her mental health, and it has created a really rocky relationship with her mother. Then for the example when she had words affected her, she talks about this her time in the NROTC at KU. She worked towards getting into this program throughout high school, where she had officers in the NROCT help her get scholarships, and they worked with her to make sure that she could go to the college she wanted and like had the resources she needed in this program. And once she got to KU and she was in the program, she decided that it was not the best thing for her, and it just really wasn't manageable with all of the other stuff she had going on. So then when she went back to her hometown and she talked to her old high school officers, they basically told her that she was weak and she was a coward, and that they were disappointed since they helped her for so long and they put a lot of effort into helping her, and then she like didn't think it was the best thing for her and she changed her mind. So they were just really ruthless and mean on her. She then concluded that out of the two examples, the one with the greatest effect on her was the one with her mother kicking her out of the house. And then she goes on saying that she thinks actions have a larger effect on emotions, because when people say words to you, you can like compartmentalize them and kind of just be like, oh, well, this person's upset, they're just in the heat of the moment. But when someone does this large of a thing that will affect your life, it will cause an effect for most of your life, because her relationship with her mother is going to be very hard to like get back to the way it was before this happened.
Yeah, I really love that example because you really don't think about like actions like that when you're thinking about this. You're more thinking like small stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. For my interview, I had interviewed the man, and he had said that a time someone's action has affected him was when he wasn't invited by a good friend to a birthday party that everyone else was invited to, and it made him feel sad and left out because he kind of just wasn't like included.
Yeah.
And he said that it doesn't still affect him emotionally, but that he's not really close with the friend anymore. And then a time someone's words affected him was when his dad kept making fun of insecurities that he had, and he says that he didn't think his dad really realized it was affecting him, but it's been happening for so long, and it's just frustrating to listen to. And he says that it still affects him because it's still going on.
Yeah.
And then he says that the words his father had said definitely have like a bigger effect on him, just because it's still happening, and it's supposed to be a person that's like there for you and a person that he depends on. And then he goes on to say that he thinks that actions have a bigger effect in the moment, but in the long term that words can have a bigger effect, because it's just a sentence can like ruin a relationship or a friendship.
Yeah. I think it's very interesting that they both had one example with someone very close to them, like a parent. And I think a lot of this comes down to the relationship you have with the person, and whether their words or actions can affect you more. Because if you're not very close with the person, clearly what they do to you or what they say to you is not going to have as large of an impact. But I think I challenge all of you guys to answer these questions for yourself, and then kind of whatever you come up with, I feel like you can decide out of the two scenarios which one you think had a larger effect on you. But maybe overall you can't decide out of everything that's ever been said to you or done to you which one you think has it, because I think it's all situational and it changes. So yeah.
Thank you for coming to this episode of Yapp Sesh, and we hope to see you guys next week.
Toodles!